Hi, guys, and welcome to this episode. In this episode, I want to talk about how to shift from self hate to self love. And your mind might immediately go, "What are you talking about? I love myself. I'm confident. I don't need to shift from self hate to self love." Well, you'd be surprised. I know what that feels like. I know what it feels like to have a false sense of confidence when actually underneath all of that is a lot of guilt and shame about who you really are. So, I'm going to be talking about where all of that self hate, guilt, and shame stems from and how it develops in the human psyche, how you can shift out of that and reprogram yourself into self love. And I want to just bring into your awareness that you may have unconscious shame and guilt that are running in the background and dominating your life without you even being aware of it. And this is why I love subconscious reprogramming so much, because we discover and uncover these hidden programs that dictate our lives in ways that are dysfunctional. And we get to change them so that we can actually start to shift our reality and truly embody self love, what it really is. So instead of reading a book about self love and conceptually understanding, oh, I know what love is on a mental level, you get to embody it through every single cell of your body. You become the actual frequency of it. And whenever you have those moments, if you dip, you will be equipped with the tools of how to know how to emotionally regulate yourself and plenty more. So, where does self hate and shame and guilt come from? Because obviously, when you popped out of the womb, when you were born into this world, you were not born with these programs of I'm not good enough and shame and judging your body. These were all picked up along the way as you were getting older. So, from the age of from the age of 0 to 7, your brain is in a constant theta state, and that's when it's in a programmable state. So a lot of your subconscious programming came obviously from your childhood, and in my opinion, it continues as we become teenagers and adults, depending on our environment. Of course, there's ancestral DNA and DNA programming and all like that, but we're going to talk about this lifetime. So, when you have a sponge brain and you're constantly in the theta state, you're soaking up everything as truth. So, if anyone tells you that you're ugly, if anyone tells you that you're dumb, if anyone tells you that, oh, you're always late, oh, you always make mistakes, or whatever it is, even if you have seemingly good parents and there's, not any strong indicator of abuse in your family, there can be chronic emotional neglect. There can be chronic, hidden comments. There can be contempt. There can be a lot of subtle signs and imprints that will program your subconscious mind to think very low about yourself. And if you're a perfectionist, that's where your perfectionism might come in and be like, no, 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 I am perfect. I do everything perfect. I have good confidence because that's a coping mechanism. That happens as a result of having shame about who we are, having guilt about who we are. It can go two ways. Either guilt and shame can go into a overstriving perfectionism in need of validation, or it can go into self-sabotage. I talk about this a lot in our other videos as well. So it comes from all of the programming that we pick up from our immediate environment. Obviously, first of all, our parents, our caretakers, whoever is there to raise us when we're growing up. And this is not to say that, oh, you parents are really bad or your parents were really good. It's not about blaming. It's just about the information that we soak up when we have the sponge brain in a theta state. And then you have your extended community. So your friends, friends of your family, and then you have the schooling system. So the schooling system in and of itself, regardless of your family, regardless of how amazing your parents were or how horrible your parents were, will imprint a not good enough, dumb, need to work really hard, all of these limiting beliefs into our subconscious. If you think about it, you go to school for years, every single day in, day out. And I bet you not every single one of your teachers, maybe you had some good teachers, but I bet you want some of your teachers who you needed to, listen to every single day made comments, said things, and then the system in and of itself like grades you, A, B, C, D, E, F, or whatever numerical system you have in your country, is placing you on a good or not good enough scale. and compares you to everyone else. So we're always put in comparison to others as well. So this is where we get this comparison complex. We're always comparing ourselves to others. And if others are doing better than us, then we are not good enough, and so on. So there's so much programming that is just accepted, that is just normal in society, that we just, go along with. And so no wonder so many of us have this harsh inner critic that is constantly punishing you, that is constantly telling you you're not pretty enough, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, and all of this nonsense that is running your life. And it's subtle. It's very subtle. But if you start to develop a very keen awareness to your inner dialogue, you will start to notice those inner thoughts that are not talking so nicely about yourself. And I'm going to encourage you to start to reject that voice, because your relationship with yourself is the most important relationship you can ever have. You are the only person you are going to be with from start to finish. You are married to yourself. So the relationship that you have with yourself is the utmost important relationship. So this is why I'm encouraging you to move from self-hate to self-love. And this is not to say that you have horrible confidence and you are, self-loathing all the time, but it's to continuously upgrade and expand your life experience. So even if right now you have a pretty good life, why not expand that? Dream bigger. Also, if you have a lot of PTSD, complex PTSD, trauma from your childhood, then it's especially important to look at and acknowledge and transmute that programming and heal that past so that it doesn't dictate your future, so that you can feel like you're not a victim to life, but you can actually change your life for the better, and you have the power to do that. So that's a mini snippet of how we get programmed into self-hate and how it's just this accepted state in society. So what do we do about it? Well, we got to look at it face on. And this is the uncomfortable part, because the ego does not want to take that radical self-responsibility. So when we have a lot of emotional trauma, when we have a lot of PTSD, or when we have all of this self-hate programming, it's so easy for the ego to project that out and blame our environment. It's the government. Oh, my boyfriend is a piece of shit. Oh, my friends always leave me. Oh, this person, that person, whatever, whoever's around you, and blame it on other people. Blame it on your parents instead of owning your own programming. So this is not to say that if anyone treated you badly, that was okay. Of course not. This is not to disregard any difficult experience that you have had, and no horrible action of another person is acceptable. But it is to take ownership of what you can do with what you have experienced and what you can do with your relationship with yourself. If your parents always told you that you were stupid, or that you would never accomplish anything, then you will downplay yourself in the work environment and never ask for that raise, never really excel, because the mind will go, whatever. And the mind and the subconscious programs, they're there for a reason. They serve a purpose because they want to keep you alive. They don't want you to put the flashlight on it, because then they feel threatened, because the beliefs in and of itself think that they're keeping you alive. But they are not serving you. So this is why we need to bring them into awareness and see how they have served you, why they have protected you, in what way, what virtues you've developed as a result of having those beliefs, and then start to shift that mentality. And it's confronting to the ego, because the ego doesn't like to admit that, oh yeah, I have shame, I'm a perfectionist and it results from wounding. But the more you come to terms with your inner being, with yourself, with all of these feelings, and you stop suppressing them, you will feel a release. Because if you are not accepting those parts of yourself, you are not fully whole. You are not allowing yourself to be a full human. It's a human experience to feel anger, to feel shame, to feel guilt. And in social media today, there's so much toxic positivity. I'm going to make another video about toxic positivity. There's so much toxic positivity that judges and downplays the importance of anger, of shame, of guilt, and these feelings, and how important it is to fully feel them. Because all emotions serve a purpose. Anger is there to allow you to know if something is wrong and you need to set a boundary. Sadness happens if someone leaves you. Grief happens if you are experiencing an extreme separation. And if we are suppressing these emotions, we are numbing ourselves, and it takes away the joy of life. So a lot of people who are only focusing on the positive and judges those lower emotions are cutting off a huge part of themselves. And that can lead to a whole host of emotional problems, of even diseases, because you are ignoring this whole aspect of yourself that is screaming for attention. Just another example that I want to give is the immense pressure on women and their appearance, that they have to look a certain way, that they have to behave a certain way, they have to be pleasing to men in a certain way, they have to be feminine in a certain way. And that leads to an extreme amount of perfectionism, seeking validation outside of ourselves and not being able to be our true authentic selves. And being our true authentic selves is one of the most important things that we can be in this world. You are a unique expression of source, God, energy, and it is your birthright to be the special uniqueness that you are. And this is why I always encourage people to stop conforming to norms and to rules and how you should look and how you should behave. Follow what is true for you, obviously, without it harming yourself or others. So, how do we do the shift from self-hate to self-love? Well, that awareness in and of itself is one of the most powerful statements and powerful shifts that you can do for yourself. So, any single moment where you notice shame, any single moment where you notice guilt, unless guilt has come from something that you have done to another that has caused them harm, but a silly guilt, like you didn't look good enough or whatever, or some unimportant thing. Any form of self-hate that is unjustified, shift that to self-love and connect back into your heart. Self-compassion and self-love is super important on your healing journey. Let's say you've had an eating disorder and you're super shameful about that, or you've been sexually abused and you have lots of shame about that, or you have body dysmorphia and you have lots of shame about that, or you have dyslexia and you have lots of shame about that. Whatever it is that you have shame about and you're judging yourself about, now is the time for you to stop shaming and judging yourself. Now is the time for you to realize that all of your emotions are normal. How you're feeling about yourself is normal. Shame is a shared human emotion that is normal, and you don't have to hide in shame anymore. I know it sounds cliche, but love is always the answer. Because a pitfall that we can fall into is that we try to punish the punisher. So we try to punish and shove away the inner critic. And by doing that, you're just punishing yourself. So if you notice that you have a judgmental thought and you go, oh no, I shouldn't be thinking that. Oh, that's so bad. It's exactly the same. So self-compassion and love is the answer to the inner critic and to the self-hating thoughts. So when you notice that you're judging your body, your appearance, your behavior, your intellect, whatever it is, self-compassion and self-love, notice, oh, I'm really hard on myself right there. I think I can bring in some self-love and compassion there. And self-love and compassion, a lot of people associate them with passiveness, with inactivity. You'll just become this soft, gooey person. Actually, the opposite is true, because it requires strength and courage to make that change. It requires strength and courage to become that kind to yourself. And this doesn't only have a positive effect on you, it has a positive effect on everyone around you as well, because you can only love another as much as you love yourself. So the more love you can bring into yourself, the more love you are expanding out into the universe. So I'm not saying to praise bad behavior or to indulge in unhealthy behaviors or to stop exercising and just eating a bunch of chocolate. Prioritizing yourself also includes doing the difficult things. Prioritizing yourself and acts of self-love also includes doing the difficult things that are good for your future. Prioritizing paying your taxes, prioritizing showing up for your work, prioritizing learning how to communicate well so that you can have healthy relationships. Your education, investing in your self-growth and your development, all of these things require time and effort. And that time and effort that you are putting into your self-growth, into your self-love, will pay off 100%. So this is not about becoming lazy and indulgent. It's about becoming strong in your self-love and taking action towards a better future, towards a better self, and towards a better life experience, towards the qualities that you want to embody, because this is really all about embodiment. You can mentally understand what love is, but it will have zero difference unless you can embody the actual frequency of it. So my invitation to you is to, anytime you notice guilt, shame, fear, is to invite in and alchemize it with love and light. I know that sounds so spiritual, because then you are bringing attention to it instead of suppressing it. Instead of saying, go away, I don't want to feel that. Go away, shame and guilt, I don't want to feel that. I'm just going to put you in the backseat. I'm going to pretend that you're not there, even though it's an elephant in the room. Bring your light and awareness and self-compassion and love to it. Seriously. What this will begin to do, it will automatically dissipate those feelings. So I know it sounds ironic, because I'm saying don't try to push them away. But then the ironic thing is that when you meet them with love and compassion, they go away. The emotional load, the intensity, the physical intensity of the pain and the suffering will dissipate. So it's a little bit of a paradox like that, but we live in a very paradoxical universe. But if you are suppressing it, it will only fester and grow deeper and deeper and deeper. And self-love and self-compassion they are your super tools, because then you become more an authentic expression of yourself, which I've said is one of the most important things we can do for ourselves. When you are suppressing your emotions and you are being a perfectionist, or you are self-sabotaging, you are numbing yourself, it's like a flower turning into a fake flower. You lose the life force energy that makes you the unique you. When you are allowing yourself to meet yourself with love and compassion, you allow yourself to turn back into the real flower that you are. I know that sounds poetic. My Taurian practical self is like, why are you going into this poetry stuff, Vanessa? But then you get to be a real flower instead of a fake, lifeless flower that's just standing there. So when you become this real flower, you get to be in awe of yourself, and others get to be in awe of you, of the full God source creation that you are. And you also become an inspiration to others. I'm sure you've seen others go through an incredible journey of challenges, of hardship, and they have owned it, and they are expressing it, and they're standing in their truth of it. And that is so inspirational. So you will also become an example for others. And this is what the world needs right now, is more examples of love, more examples of kindness, more examples of compassion, because there is so much negativity happening now on the planet that we don't have to go into, but it is all about energy. At the end of the day, we live in a vibrational universe, and the most powerful thing you can do is to manage your own vibrational state. So this is my invitation to you today, to call in more love, self-compassion, love yourself up every single moment of the day. Take those actions that you know are good for you, even if they may be challenging and hard. Build that future for yourself that you know that you want to have, and that strength in your heart is just going to become stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger every single day. It will be a compounding effect. So I hope you've enjoyed my message for today, and I will see you in the next episode.